Hello everyone, I'm CoolGuy, welcome back, and today we're going to go in depth on the Nightstalker's new Way of the Wraith skill tree. There was something about it that really intrigued me when I saw the subclass, and I decided to use my Seed of Light token on it. This class requires you to do a certain thing, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit. The super is really fun, but the complete kit is really brought out when you do what it asks you to do. It's important to know how things work and what you need to do, and if you don't use Hunter too much, it's important to know what you're up against. When you do use this subclass to its fullest potential, you can do some very crazy things, but just know that for you to do those crazy things, it all starts with one action to get it going, and that action isn't necessarily available all the time. So we're going to go over the inner workings of the subclass, durations, numbers, and builds. After we go through the subclass, I do have a final big tip at the end that ties all of this together. Starting off, the super, Spectral Blades. Summon a pair of Void Blades and stalk the battlefield in a veil of shadows. Press RB to perform a quick attack melee, and press right trigger to perform a heavy attack. The blades remind me of the original Blade Dancer from Destiny 1, but they're a lot faster. Not necessarily for closing distances, but the actual animation to go from target to target. So when you pop the super, the hunter does a backflip animation, goes right into Wraith mode. Inside that Wraith mode, you can see silhouettes of enemies through walls. Makes quick work of small groups and a lot of directional magnetism going in between them. You can turn right on a dime. Now the right trigger option, you do that lunging backflip, it does more damage and it gets you back into Wraith mode so you can see through walls again. And let's talk PvP a little bit. This super is more of a, you pop it right next to your enemy. You take out small groups and you go on your way. It does not cross gaps really well. So if you do need to close in on them, there's something that you need to do, because if you're running right at them or trying to right trigger blade like you did in Blade Dancer towards them, you're just going to get mowed down. I use triple jump and I found it to be the most effective, but it works with all the jumps. So to fill a gap, jump towards your opponent and RB in a direction, RB meaning your melee attack. It could be left or it could be right. Now you follow that up immediately with a right trigger attack. So what's going to happen is you're quickly going to change directions, and then the right trigger is going to bring you back fast towards them with the backflip Wraith animation. This is what I found to be the most effective to get close to your opponents.
Only 1 minute left. You're breaking them.
The whole subclass is designed around one perk though. If you don't do this consistently, or don't try to do this, the subclass is average. It's actually really below average. But if you do this, the subclass is very elite. The perk to pay attention to is Flawless Execution. When crouched, precision kills grant invisibility, true sight, and increased melee range. This is what makes the subclass. If you don't do this, the other perks don't work. When you're crouched, you look for precision final blows. When you land one, a timer sets on your screen for 9 seconds, and for 9 seconds you get True Sight. True Sight is what you see in Wraith mode. It allows you to see through walls. This ability resets as well, so if you have 3 seconds left on your timer, you land a crouching headshot, you get that time all back over again, back up to 9 seconds, and you stay within that Flawless Execution, granting your True Sight. The second perk tied to this is Shattering Strike. After performing a Flawless Execution, your melee attack weakens enemies. So after you land a headshot, you have 9 seconds for Flawless Execution, we just went over, but anytime within that 9 seconds, you can go up and melee a target. You don't have to be invisible to do this. The melee itself does regular damage, but you're buffing the enemy, similar to what a tractor cannon does for void damage. It doesn't suppress them, nothing like that, it just does more damage. So after you melee your target, you get 50% more damage to that target. That lasts for 6 seconds. And you can do big damage on your enemy. The subclass has both PvE and PvP capabilities, and when you think Nightstalker, you think Orpheus Rig. Now the Orpheus Rig has been community go-to, like community-wide for the past year or so. This subclass changes all that up a little bit, because you don't have a bow, you don't have Shadow Shot. What it does have though is this damage buff you get in PvE, and that buff is substantial. You can go back and melee your enemy again actually before the Flawless Execution ever runs out. So you can get into Flawless Execution, run up and melee the boss, do damage, and right before it runs out, you can melee him again to get 6 more seconds of 50% more damage. It's a very good PvE subclass. Even though you don't have that Shadow Shot, you don't have the Orpheus Rig, you basically just have a big damage buff that you have on demand. Just find an ad, one-shot him, and then go melee that mid-tier or boss enemy. The last perk node falls to the Smoke Grenade. This is kind of like the true original smoke from Destiny 1. It's called Corrosive Smoke. Throw a smoke bomb from a distance. The smoke bomb slows enemies and damages them over time, and what's nice is it kind of brings back the wombo combo from Destiny 1. Throw your smoke, then immediately throw your grenade, and you throw that smoke first so you slow them down, that way they can eat the grenade a little bit more. Now you don't do that all the time, you can though, it's what's really nice about this subclass's neutral game. Most of what we've talked about shows its PvE capability, but let's talk about PvP for a second. Again, I want to stress that the entire class revolves around flawless execution, landing a headshot while you're crouched. When you break it down and don't go for that, all you have is a corrosive smoke bomb and a super. That's all. You want to set yourself up for success, so you can use anything, but obviously precision weapons are going to be your best bet. Bows, scouts, hand cannons. You can do it with ARs and sidearms as well. And when you're dueling, you need to try to incorporate a crouch within your strafe, ideally at the end of the gunfight, right? To get that perk going. It works extremely well with shotguns. So with the knee slide shotgun, you aim a tad higher, and if the pellets hit precision, it's going to give it to you. The Balaget, Deadpan Delivery, any shotgun. It's kind of 50-50 though, since it does have pellets. If you want to be 100% sure, you use a slug shotgun, and Chaperone is the absolute best choice. Chaperone has crazy, insane range, and you know what you need to do with it. So any shotgun works, but slugs are going to be your best bet. When you set up this class, there are a couple things you want to keep in mind for PvP. It all depends on how you want to get the perk going. You could use a Jade Rabbit and try to go for crits. You could go all in with a shotgun. You can go all in with a sidearm. There are many different ways. Whichever way you pick, set yourself up for success with the gear that you're wearing. So as an example, I'm using the Chaperone, a slug shotgun. I have Shotgun Scavenger, Shotgun Loader, and Shotgun Unflinching. I'm going all in for that knee slide shotgun. Or you might value the Wombo combo within the kit, so you might want to throw on Fastball for the Wombo combo on your arms. I do like to have unflinching armor though with whatever I'm trying to go for, because that's the most important thing, landing a precision hit. If I'm using Jade Rabbit or Polaris Lance, I use Scout Rifle Unflinching. And that goes for PvE too. I use the bow a lot, and there's a perk called Sneak Bow. That perk gives you a fast bow reload and hold time when crouched. It's perfect for the subclass. And the last tip that ties all this together is your exotic usage. Now, since you don't have Shadow Shot, the Orpheus rigs are out of the question. There are a lot of options. Stompies are really good, but the Graviton Forfeit is the ideal selection for your exotic armor. This helmet has gotten little to no play over the past year up until now, and my friend Rosie actually recommended it right when we heard of the subclass before Forsaken. We talked about it and we've now built around it. Its exotic perk, Vanishing Shadow, increases the duration of any invisibility effects. Your melee recharges faster while you're invisible. I use this for both PvE and PvP. The Graviton Forfeit ups the 9-second duration of flawless execution to 12 seconds. Now you might think that 3 seconds isn't that long, but it's an eternity in game. Remember, the countdown can be reset, so that's 3 more seconds to land another headshot. You basically live in flawless execution in PvE, and it's more potent for you in PvP. With 12 seconds in PvE, you could get your headshot, get flawless execution going, run up to the boss, melee him, do your damage, and then with no problems at all, melee him again to do 6 more seconds of that 50% more damage. It's huge. Meanwhile, the whole time you're invisible. That's 3 more seconds of true sight. And while you're doing all this and searching, since you have on the helmet, you're getting a faster cooldown to your smoke bomb. Now, I have 2 grenade mods, and after 12 seconds, you get from this exotic helmet, my smoke is already 3/4 of the way back, and by the end of it, I would land another headshot and continue the buff and have my smoke back. Probably 16, 17, 18 seconds. This subclass has a lot of moving parts. With how you want to use it, Graviton Forfeit is going to be the perfect complement. The subclass does very well in PvE and PvP, but remember to do all the things it wants you to do and set yourself up for success with all the perks on your armor. Thank you guys for watching, and until the next one, I am CoolGuy.